Hi, welcome to the Bible Prophecy Shop. Today we continue the exploration of the symbolism of the third day of creation. If you haven't seen the first two episodes of this series, I would encourage you to start from the beginning so you have an understanding of how we're approaching this study of the days of the week. The third day is a wonderful time where the earth really begins to take shape. The appearance of dry land and living vegetation. Before we deep dive into this third day, let's look at the creation narrative from the book of Genesis. The first day saw the creation of light, the separation of night and day. The second day, the separation of the sky and the waters. And now we arrive at the third day. Remember, this is a continuing of the process of separating and dividing. God creates, then he divides, then separates in order to provide a foundation for further creation and so on. Genesis 1, 9 through 13. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered into one place. Let the dry ground appear." And it was so. God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit, with seed in it, according to their various kinds." And it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. On the third day, God commands the waters to be gathered, revealing dry land. This act of separation is extremely important. Without it, life on earth can't move forward. This is literally and symbolically order emerging from chaos. God then speaks life into the land, bringing forth vegetation. The significance lies not just in the creation of plant life, but in the concept of fruitful multiplication. The separation of land and sea is more than just physical. It's a representation of boundaries and the establishment of a foundation. As I spoke about in the Day 2 video, the sea symbolizes the chaos and the unpredictability of the masses. The result of multitudes of people, each following their own way, relying on their own judgment, easily being tossed around by the current and prevailing wind. The land is a firm foundation. It's a symbol of stability and order. This symbolism shows the ongoing theme of God bringing about the order of his purposes and separating it from the chaos of the world. Then there's the command for land to bring forth vegetation according to its kind, a divine order and a purpose in the natural world. This notion of kind after kind, it emphasizes the intricate balance and interconnectedness within creation. It's not just about growth, it's about harmonious and purposeful existence. When we compare this to the third 1,000-year epoch of human history, there are two very interesting events that occurred. The first is God's covenant with Abraham, and the second, the establishment of the Torah, God's law given to Moses. God establishes a firm foundation upon which we can come to know him. And it's upon this foundational rock that God's plan of redemption was fulfilled in Jesus. In Numbers chapter 16, Korah and other leaders who came against Moses and the foundation that God was establishing through him were swallowed up by the foundation of the earth, as the ground they were standing on literally opened up and swallowed them into a great earthquake. While others who offered burning incense as part of the rebellion, they were burned up with fire. God's foundation is necessary for life to flourish. It's the appearance of dry land that provides fertile ground. When God's foundation is laid within you, there's fertile ground for life to grow. A firm foundation that rises above the tempestuous waves of the chaotic world around you. 2/3 of the earth is covered by water. You may feel overwhelmed at times, surrounded by clashing and stormy seas, but remain firm. God's foundation rises far above the waves. The rock of his mountain cannot be moved, not even by an ocean. Within biblical scripture, God's people are often referred to symbolically as fruit-bearing trees. Trees that are firmly rooted in a firm foundation that take in living water and produce delicious, life-giving food. Trees that take in bitterness, they wither and die. What a tree takes into itself and where it takes root determines what it will produce. Life or death, good or bad, each will produce according to its kind. Matthew 7:15 through 20 tells us to watch out for false prophets. They come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they're ferocious wolves. By their fruit you will recognize them. Do people pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Likewise, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, by their fruit you will recognize them. In Matthew chapter 13, plants are compared to people growing in the world when Jesus said, "A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched. They had withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown." We are commanded to bear good fruit. We can only do this by taking action according to our faith, each of a kind, growing into a vast and beautiful forest. This is how we're to apply the principles of the third day to our daily lives. Just as Jesus spoke the parable of the sower in Matthew 13, we must sink our roots deep into God's foundation in order to survive the heat of the day. The act of God bringing order and life from chaos shows us the transformative power He can have over our lives. Just as God brought forth life and order from the abyss, we too, through Him, can rise above and bring forth new life and bear good fruit. The third day invites us to reflect on the fact that in order for life to emerge from chaos, there must be the establishment of firm boundaries and His divine purpose in our existence. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey here today. Please hit the like button to help out the channel. Most importantly, share with others. And subscribe, notifications on, so you catch the next episode, Day 4, Lights in the Sky. You can also visit and share at the website, thebibleprophecyshop.com, where you'll find a link to all my videos there. When the next episode is available, you'll find the link right here. Go forth and be blessed.